Institutes of the Christian Religion by John Calvin. Book 1, chapter 4, section 2, conscious turning away from God. David's statement that ungodly men and fools feel in their hearts that there is no God must first, as we shall see again a little later, be limited to those who, by extinguishing the light of nature, deliberately befuddle themselves. Accordingly, we see that many, after they have become hardened in insolent and habitual sinning, furiously repel all remembrance of God, although this is freely suggested to them inwardly from the feeling of nature. But to render their madness more detestable, David represents them as flatly denying God's existence, not that they deprive him of his being, but because, in despoiling of his judgment and providence, they shut him up idle in heaven. Now, there is nothing less in accord with God's nature than for him to cast off the government of the universe and abandon it to fortune, and to be blind to the wicked deeds of men, so that they may lust unpunished. Accordingly, whoever heedlessly indulges himself, his fear of heavenly judgment is extinguished, denies that there is a God. And it is God's just punishment of the wicked that fatness envelops their hearts, so that after they have closed their eyes, in seeing they see not. And David is the best interpreter of his thought when in another place he says that the fear of God is not before the eyes of the ungodly. Likewise, because they persuade themselves that God does not see, they proudly applaud their own wrongdoing. Even though they are compelled to recognize some God, they strip him of glory by taking away his power. For as Paul affirms, just as God cannot deny himself, because he remains forever like himself, so they, by fashioning a dead and empty idol, are truly said to deny God. At this point, we ought to note that however much they struggle against their own senses, and wish not only to drive God thence, but also to destroy him in heaven, their stupidity never increases to the point where God does not at times bring them back to his judgment seat. But because no fear restrains them from rushing violently against God, it is certain that so long as this blind urge grips them, their own oafish forgetfulness of God will hold sway over them.